show. An attention-seeking cartoon account likes Point By because it's the only hope to get intelligence or charisma over 3. A rundown, busted tiefling alehouse joins Stewby Stew in crying about a gang neither one supports in the first place. Some bro SR backbencher doesn't understand why his game is boring. A Scythian barbecue talks about the left and the right and burns the patty on both sides. And Jesse Kelly should stick to politics because he's clearly not built for anything written past the 4th grade level. It's intelligence as a dump stat, everybody. Welcome to Driving Dragons. I'm your host, Daniel, and we have got a packed lineup this week. I would like to say congratulations to Rob Kuntz, Grift Morgan, and Amazing Game Productions. You are all plenty stupid enough to deserve a spot on the show this week, but those mentioned above just edged you out. Guys, I am closing in on 1,000 subs. In fact, just 4 more are needed to lock down the member and Patreon list for those who will automatically get one of the custom minis I'm giving away to celebrate the milestone. So please, after liking and sharing the video, leave your comments below, and maybe throw a super thanks or a membership of your own my way. Tell a friend to get over here and hit that subscribe button. Members, this week already have a D&D Reacts video that goes public tomorrow, and they'll be getting another early access video later this week. Now, we got a good bit of people who did not display a good bit of intelligence this week, so let's get started building the bonfire under their asses, shall we? We open with an account that represents a collection of my absolute least favorite things on the internet. Isobell Martell has a good opinion every once in a while and seems nice enough in the comments. However, it is a giant tit anime profile pic that gets an AI pic to caption every post type account. Of course, most of these posts need giant boobs and underwear to get any attention because 90% of the content is just mundane garbage. Nobody cares that you went to bed. Nobody cares when you woke up. And none of us care that you hate your job. And you know how you know that none of us care? Because the only way you can get enough engagement for those posts is to constantly pollute our feeds by filling it with gooner bait for pathetic sad sacks that get sprung looking at cartoons. So what landed old Toon Tits on the list here? Well, her lengthy opinion posted sans goon bait because it was actually something of interest in its own right on rolling stats in specifically D20 system games. You see, she doesn't like 3d6 down the line. Her problem is that if she rolls poorly for the character she wants to play, then there's no sense in playing that character anymore. And if she plays a different character, it'll be no fun because it isn't what she wanted. She likes Point By, so every character is mathematically the same but customized. Or get to assign 118 and 18 but roll the rest. That way you can guarantee that you're good in all the stats you really need. Wah, wah, wah. Go get your bottle, baby. It isn't about getting what you want. Let's hit a few key points right quick. 1 and an 18? Or an 18 and an 8? And what kind of retarded nonsense is that crap? You get a guaranteed superhuman stat in exchange for a slightly below average one? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. If you wanted to engage in that particular stupidity, it should be more like 116 and 16 maybe. At least that way you get a -3 in one stat and a +3 in the good one, instead of, throwing a -1 in some dump stat in order to get a +4 in your key stat. And Point By is just video game trash garbage. But it isn't idiotic stat generation ideas that got this post on the show. It is yet another newbie player who can't grasp the basic concept of a down-the-line character. The point is that the fun comes from discovery. This isn't Theater Kid Story Hour where you have your favorite reskinned anime edgelord ready to go before your first roll. The fun of down-the-line stat generation is that you figure out what you want to play after you roll the stats. Kind of like in real life where little Johnny wanted to be an NBA center, but he rolled 5'1" on his height, so he became a professional jockey instead. Seriously, people, stop commenting on things before you take the time to understand them. And for Christ's sakes, get rid of the animu clickbait garbage. You cried that you want to be taken seriously for your opinions? Well, let them stand on their own, or at least do it with pictures of your actual self. Speaking of accounts that build on lukewarm hot takes or regurgitated opinions that are hiding behind cartoon cleavage, we have the introduction of my next target topic, courtesy of Elven Maid in. I typically avoid Emmy because, frankly, she's boring. She's a boring, sad sack that is rarely worth the time to mention. After all, if I really want to feature whatever stupid-ass idea that she posted, I can just do a little looking around and see who she grifted it off of, because she copy-pastes her opinions every day anyway. She posted that she hates what WotC is doing with TTRPGs. Why? Well, D&D is looking at bringing in subscription models to their online platform. Emmy, of course, cries that D&D used to be called pen and paper games and that all electronics should be banned from the table. This is a humorously Luddite opinion to come from someone who has built their entire platform on barely not pornographic generative AI. What is... I'll tell you what this actually is. It's crying about something just to cry. A company moves their model to a way that generates a return on investment while being more convenient to 99% of their customers, and 1% of their customer base turns around and cries about it. What's hilarious is that Emmy isn't even in that 1% because she's been very vocal about never buying their products ever again. Okay, so exactly why should they listen to you? Why should anyone listen to you for that matter? But she isn't the only one crying about subscription services for D&D. Take Stewby Stew. Now, what little looking at old Stewby I did sees that he doesn't appear to be all that bad normally, but he is certainly showing some low IQ reactionary nonsense here. There is everything wrong with subscription models. This is why TV sucks today. Everything that moves to subscription has become worse than it was while it was free. What a rosy pair of short bus-colored glasses this is. Free? When was any of this stuff free, Hoss? The answer is never. Sure, you paid once and you got to keep it, but less came out, and it took a lot longer, and it generally cost more. When a company has a steady revenue stream, regardless of what they come out with, they can typically take a few more risks on experimental projects. TV got worse? Remind me how in the old days the free TV that I paid my cable company for had no commercials, and that I could watch whatever show I wanted to watch whenever I wanted to. Shit, you can tell that somebody never missed what was on Channel 5 on that scrolling TV guide channel and had to wait 15 minutes for it to cycle back around. Yeah, you can tell when somebody never had to sit through that crap. The long and short of it is, just like everything else, subscription models are neither good nor bad inherently. It's all about how they're done. You want a good D&D subscription model? Here you go. Whatever you get, you keep. You can access it digitally, whenever. This includes the big stuff, which is never given a launch day in advance to prevent people from just subbing to grab the big supplement release and then unsubbing. If you miss the release day, you got to buy it at full price, or you have to buy a subscription that would be enough months to cover that full price. Every week, there's adventure modules or class features, new magic items, etc. that's released to all the subscribers. So you are always getting something for your money. The company gets steady, dependable revenue. The players get lots of new stuff, and they pay for it over time instead of doing it in $60 to $80 chunks. Now, that's a pretty good subscription model, and there are plenty of ways that they could and likely will build a bad model as well. I am not here saying that Wizards of the Coast is going to do this right. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure they'll do it wrong. I'm just saying that these people crying because the word subscription was mentioned need to get a healthy dose of reality. You, however, dear viewer, need a healthy dose of fiction. Pulp fiction, to be precise, and I know exactly where you can fill that prescription. In the 168 pages of Corvid Codex, Volume 1. It is just $14.99, a full 12% less than the standard price for a 6x9 trade paperback book, and it features not one, but 7 fantastic short stories written in the classic styles of fantasy, sci-fi, sword and sorcery, and cyberpunk fiction. Links below in the description and up above on the screen, so go grab yourself a copy today. Now, Corvid Codex will never leave you bored, but apparently playing D&D with the Bro SR will. At least that's what we get from one of their C-list DMs, Scuttlebutt Mark, I think. I don't know, something like that. Why is it that 3 hours of D&D is a slog, but 5 hours of Warhammer goes by in a blink? I don't know. Maybe because analysis of a hypothetical situation presented entirely in the minds of several players requires coordinated thinking and communication skills, while playing with toy soldiers is an activity perfectly suited to children. All I know is that the D&D sessions that happen at the tables I frequent result in situations where we start playing at noon, play into the night, finish a combat, and then say, "Man, I'm hungry, is anything still open?" Only to have someone say everything is, for breakfast. Because our games result in players getting lost in the game world and the experience of play rather than a rule book scrambling for the next random table to tell our DM how to fill in a blank that he should have filled in prior to the session. I'm sure your game is a slog, Scruffy or Matt. I'd get bored too watching you flip through your DMG trying to find the table that determines when the goblins need to poop. It is hard to find a group more deluded and oblivious than the Bro SR. But at least they are a real group that actually exists. Unlike the IFRPG, which is a fiction that only exists in the space where Scythian barbecue's brain should be. But alas, old Fakey Dukes has an intellect that exists only on the same level as his Mr. Tarrasque World Championship, so he constantly fills his X-feed with idiocy like, rules-like games are left-coded, simulation is right-coded, many of you aren't ready to face that reality. Yeah, says the guy who claims a mythical pro card for playing D&D in a fictional organization that is somehow even less credible than Bernie Madoff investment advice. No, you colossal moron. Rules Light is not left-coded, nor is simulation right-coded. Neither of them are socially or politically coded at all. First off, the terms you used aren't even mutually exclusive. Simulationism is not inherently crunchy or light. It's simply a philosophy of design. So, what do you do when you have a rules-light simulationist game? There's a serious argument to be made that AD&D and BX are both rules-light. And they are very rules-light compared to, say, modern D20 games. And yet both are held up as the very basis for OSR simulationist design and are certainly not the more left-leaning player bases than modern D&D, which is crunchier. Shadowrun is extraordinarily crunchy, pretty much the opposite of Rules Light, and I've only met a handful of people who played that game who weren't at least left-leaning. Traveler is certainly not Rules Light, and Mark Miller is a raging lefty. This is just idiotic nonsense from one of the leading morons in the commentary space. You can at least count on the fact that everything he says is special ed coded. I tell you what, boys, the only thing hotter than these hot takes is the temperature outside. I swear once the sun is up, we were risking heat stroke just walking to the truck here in Alabama. Thanks to a combination of the UV index and humidity that's built to simulate orbiting Mercury in a swimming pool, it's over 100 degrees in the shade today. I swear, it is so hot that I saw Scythian Barbecue put down whatever meth he was smoking so he could put the copper back in the AC unit. The only thing hotter is the deals over at Patty's Parlor for White Dwarf Summer. Go grab a Hawaiian button-down to look cool in the blistering heat, and get a gobsmacked shirt that you can change into once you make it back to the house from your mailbox. That way you can still look badass without having to stay drenched in sweat. Just like Corvid Codex, the links are above and below. Finishing out the week's festivities is Jesse Kelly. Now, old Jesse is apparently some kind of political talk radio host. His show is syndicated, and he has over 800,000 followers on X for what that's worth. But I've never heard of him, and I'm a pretty politically active fellow, so that's kind of strange there. That said, his politics may be good. I don't know, never listened to him. But his thoughts on books and movies are certainly not. Maybe he needs to stick to politics, where the goal is to speak and write on a 4th grade level so stupid people can understand you. Because when you say idiotic stuff like this, it makes me think that a 4th grade, it's probably about the limit of your abilities. Some account asked for an example of a movie that was way better than the book. And this fuckwit said, Lord of the Rings, you watch those movies and you think, man, those books have to be epic. I can't wait to see the extra stuff that's in there. The extra stuff is all singing, just garbage singing all the time. Poems and songs make up less than 2% of the text of Lord of the Rings. 10,000 words in a 480,000 plus word count novel. And this includes things like 1 ring to rule them all, 1 ring to find them, 1 ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them. You know, extremely plot relevant stuff that isn't just, oh, they're singing a walking song, but words that are literally being read off of the side of the ring by Gandalf. There are entire chapters of material that has been omitted or completely rewritten in the films. And while they are the greatest movies ever created, bar none, they don't hold a candle to the books. And the only thing an imbecilic comment like the extra stuff is all garbage singing shows is that you either didn't try to read the book or you failed to accomplish the task because well-written prose is beyond the feeble capabilities of your pathetic little mind. Maybe George R.R. Martin writing boobs every 3rd sentence is more your speed. BC headache powder is more my speed. See you guys on the next one.